All right. Greetings and salutations to all my beloved Airborne Simeonss, my dear flying monkey constables, and what up to any visiting sports fans? You know what I'm thinking right now. I'm Giovanni Cirucci. Those that know and love me call me Johnny. Those that fear and hate me pretend I don't exist. Like pretty much most of alternative anything. But especially alternative health.
Quotes, unquotes, and quotes.
All right. So the boys have been clamoring to do a brief so with great trepidation do I send out the invite. Let me go ahead and check. Sound, do we have sound? Check, test. A brief, yes, okay. We are available on Twatter, Stumble, Jesuit Tube. Let's check the audio on all the above. Brief, yes, okay. We got sound on Twatter X. Let's check sound on Stumble. Yes. All right. I think we do. Hello? Check sound on Stumble. All right. So, Lisa, good to see you. Oh, Lisa's tracking flipping tables. She's ready for flipping tables. Before tables were flipped, it was the Cirucci team brief. And I think we're just going to lump everything. It was kind of a Cirucci team flipping tables brief, and just to keep it simple. Stupid. Probably reference it as the show code. The show code, I think it's going to continue to be CTB. The solo show has been SR, solo report, special report. So that, in case you're looking at the codes and wondering what those mean, that's what they mean. Let's see here. Did I? Doc Felipe has been pretty much out of the loop. And we grant him a dispensation anyway because he is Doc Felipe. And I'm just going to go ahead and make sure his multiple accounts have the invite, even though we don't expect him to be here. So, in the meantime, I guess we can jump in. What do I have? I've got a lot. I've always got a lot. Okay, we covered that yesterday. I can delete that and out of the docket. Okay, this is interesting. Fascinator is here. I'll stand by as he jumps in. This is interesting. Let's see here. Okay, check everything. I started you off muted. Okay, so I was cleaning up my docket, my folder where I keep the topics for the show. There's too many delays. Everybody be like,
get on with it.
Yes, get on with it!
cleaning up the docket, cleaning up the folder where I keep topics for the show. How far back did this go? Another temporary volunteer, Flying Monkey Darnell. Great guy. Really enjoyed his company when he was a volunteer. Unfortunately, and as a matter of fact, he was one of the rare ones that bowed out, at least having the integrity to say, I'm bowing out. I have to watch my time. Okay, bud. We've had quite a few over. Wow, I've been doing Cirucci Team Briefs since, I want to say, like 2017. That's how far back my records go. Maybe a little bit more. And just a very, very large number of volunteers that have come and gone. A very large number. And to credit to the Vazinator, not the Vazinator, the Vazinator. He has continued to participate and work in the background even during my attempt to start my sixth book, where I have dramatically reduced my output for the streams, for the shows. I have been blessed by yous in the Philadelphia area, in the Italian community. More than one of you is yous. I have been blessed by yous with enough donations recently. Let's see here. Are we able to see this? So, if you have been blessed, I've actually got a big response too from Flying Monkey Constables. Hey, Cirucci's they did like 3 shows this week, 4 shows. Yeah, look at all this content. Hey, it costs, okay? I don't have the ability to pay. There's no money in truth. The wife pays the bills. And it's not ideal because of the Federal Reserve Jesuit bankster system that bleeds you. A one-income family doesn't get it done. You're supposed to give your children, it's a trap, says Jordan Pierce, you're supposed to give your children to the state to raise. And they'll take good care of them, full of vaccines, full of poisons inside and out. So, as you all know, a one-income home just doesn't really get it done. And in my frustration, I thought maybe I could get a little bit more stable by trying to write a 6th book. But thanks to yous, donations have come in that allow me to, I don't know, temporarily return to a, will you stop? Temporarily return to a more energetic stream output. So please go. Nothing is paywalled. Nothing is paywalled. Even though, Evan, I don't have any sponsors, and nobody in the community gives me any respect. Where did I put that?
Boy, that's the story of my life. No respect. No respect.
Yeah, I got to fix that quality. Nobody in the community gives me, well, very few people in the community give me any respect. And yet there's no way. I could never have the conscience to paywall anything. So please go to the JohnnyCirucci.com, JohnnyCirucci. Go to the support button across the menu on the far right. scroll down to my buttons there. Will you stop? What are you doing? It's my water. Stop. Go to use the button for PayPal, PayPal, and Vatican Venmo, and send Johnny some love. Please use my buttons because there's a little piece of shit cockroach that steals my material and impersonates me on Stumble. Johnny Cirucci C1 is not me. Has the balls. Has actually fucking created a fraudulent impersonator PayPal account that my buddy Marco from Croatia has donated to, thinking it was me. And if I ever have this piece of shit within my power, ask for help with Stumble and PayPal and got the invisible middle finger of silence. Go fuck yourself, Cirucci. We're pleased to see you get ripped off. So please use my buttons. If you're looking me up on PayPal, Vatican Venmo, please be careful. Double check with me. All right, let's jump into it, shall we, as the Fascinator continues to adjust.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, good.
How's
okay,
this
you're,
working?
holy shit, man. You got the whole MC thing going. All right, let's let you catch up. How do I change
The one thing I've been for intel that I've really been kind of looking at in the background is this whole thing going on with the SSPX. I don't know if you've seen any of that. And basically they're
St. Pius
working
X Foundation. Society of St. Pius X.
Yeah, they supposedly excommunicated them because they repeated history back in the 80s. I guess they made some bishops or whatever friggin' against the orders of the Vatican or something, and they did it again a couple weeks ago or a month ago or something like that. And they're now all this big controversy. They're working up the left and the right inside of the church itself. It's like a mini microcosm dialectic, basically, left-right dialectic, to basically take power and clean up the church.
Well, yeah, certainly. Who knows what's really going on? Who knows what's really going on? But certainly, in a very, very superficial sense, I think it's telling to well-meaning Latin Mass Catholics that the Society of St. Pius X is supposedly conservatard, Latin Mass conservatard. And surprise, surprise, they are on the outside, they have no power, and when they try to take power, they get slapped down. So, in a very, very superficial sense, for any of you Latin Mass conservatard Catholics, I've been telling my mother incessantly, and her mind is like a steel trap closed. I believe somehow, miraculously, she's born again, but she is absolutely will die a slave to that demonic system, and it really, really upsets me. Revelation 18:4 says, "Come out of her, my people, lest you share in her plagues." You know, I'm just thinking of that. Jordan Peterson says, admitting to being a Christian is a trap. When Revelation, so there have been people that have claimed that Revelation 18:4 extends to any apostate Christian. And that's clearly not the case. Because when it says, lest you share in her plagues, the plagues that were previously mentioned in the book of Revelation, those all apply to the Catholic Church. Now, any religious system is demonic. Any religious system is demonic. From a Christian perspective, what it means to be a Christian is thoroughly decentralized, no structure, no go-betweens. The concept of a mini pilgrimage, show that to me where it's in Scripture. Liturgy, pilgrimages. When I say mini pilgrimage, I mean every Saturn's day or every Sun day. You live your life during the week. You do whatever you want. And then for an hour and a half, you get all the nice Sunday go to meeting clothes. Here I'm actually mocking decades, maybe even centuries old culture of this, of the whole pomp and circumstance of the mini pilgrimage. And you go to a sacred location. As a quick aside, by the way, if that sacred location for you is a massive stone marble with stained glass windows, that's especially pagan and demonic. The cathedral concept, all major Catholic cathedrals are built on dead bodies. The more famous the dead body, the more power in that cathedral. That has nothing to do with Christianity. The mini pilgrimage has nothing to do with Christianity.
Magical stuff.
Right.
Stuff,
formula
basically.
driven. Good for you. Magic, formula driven, nothing to do with Christianity. And you surrender your brain and your soul to a pastor that almost certainly has been trained by a Jesuit or may even be a Jesuit himself, incognito. And he will teach you Jesuit heresy like futurism, pre-tribulation rapture, Molinism, etc. Fill your head full of Jesuit heresies. You and your family, you, if you are the male, husband, father, you are responsible from the Christian perspective for the souls and well-being of your entire family. And then when they're done filling you full of heresies, you'll put Jesus back in his cubbyhole and you'll go home and go back to the week. And that has nothing to do with Christianity, and you are not saved. You are damned and condemned. The only way you're saved is to have a living relationship with Jesus Christ. Now, are there religionists that are saved? Yeah. Unfortunately, the vast majority of people that call themselves Christians are religionists. They surrender their soul and their well-being to a hierarchy. Nothing to do with Christianity. Nothing to do with Christianity. Very, very dangerous. As soon as you allow a human being or group of human beings to stand in between you and Christ, you've lost. You've lost. Christ put religion to the cross. Christ nailed religion to the cross. Okay? So, what is salvation? Salvation is give your life to Jesus Christ and have a permanent relationship with him for the rest of your life. As John uses marital metaphors for a reason. The Apostle John, Gospel of John, the letters of John, and the book of Revelation uses marital metaphors repeatedly for a reason. Because a saving relationship with Jesus Christ is an ongoing relationship. And the saving relationship is a relationship. So, by the way, my perspective, I believe that once saved, always saved is part of the Jesuit Molinism heresy, fraud that encourages Christians to not bear fruit, and it is a heresy. What did Christ say? The one that buries his talents gets assigned into the flames with everybody else. The branch that does not bear fruit, his Father pulls and prunes from him. He says, no one else can take your salvation, but you can walk away. You can bury it. That's just a fact of Scripture. That's just a fact of the words of Jesus Christ. You can walk away from your salvation. Now you can get into the nuance, the predestination nuance. Well, you were never saved in the first. Just stop. Stop, because that is a Jesuit tempest in a teapot, circle jerk, pardon my language. The bottom line is it's a relationship, and if you don't maintain the relationship, you lose your soul. All right. SSPX. I guess I can just go back and bring it back to you, Fascinator, in relation to, and I don't know, that the professor, what's the matter? Your headset not working? He looked like he was...
Correct. So in order, can you hear me?
I got you.
Okay, so for some reason there was something wrong with the headset, and if I just unplugged it, I have audio. If I plug it in, I don't have audio.
Okay, well, I'm disappointed. By the way, you don't have video either. Can you fix that?
Well, actually, I need to correct something. Can you hang on just?
Yeah,
just
why don't you take a minute and play with it? If your headset actually increases the quality of the audio, maybe try some settings before giving up on it. You can go. Do what you got to do. So anyway, fascinating. Like I was saying to I have said to my mother in the past, and in relation to Revelation 18:4, come out of her, my people, lest you share in her plagues. Who is it that's going to receive the plagues? Well, that's the whore of Babylon. And, of course, her daughters. And really, all religions are her daughters. And I would even make the case that Adventism is a daughter of the Catholic Church in its multiple, can I call them heresies? Certainly the heresy began with heresies. It began with a Luciferian Freemason. William Miller is a Freemason, was a Freemason. That's a Satan worshiper. That's a Luciferian. And never had a hard break. Just supposedly stopped being a Freemason. The great disappointments. When Christ says in Matthew 24, don't number the date of my return. That's what he did, not once, not twice, but 3 times. Humiliated Christianity. He was a Baptist back then. Humiliated Christianity just like the Catholic Church wanted him to do. Repeatedly. Got people to sell all their goods and sit there waiting for Christ to return. And he didn't. Humiliated them. And instead of going away in humiliation like they should have, they just fabricated a ludicrous idea. And, hold on. Fabricated nope, wrong one. Fabricated. Now, some of this stuff I'm going to do too fast for you guys to see. Why is this doing this now? Fabricated a ludicrous idea, and even ludicrous be like, that's ludicrous. Fabricated the ludicrous idea that, well, Christ did return. You just didn't see him returning in 1843 and then twice. Once in 1843 and twice in 1844, right? He did return. You just didn't see him. Because what he did was he went from one invisible place of heaven into another invisible place. And the fact that you Adventists, you're okay with this? Name the prophecies that Jesus Christ fulfilled that don't have an obvious validation, such as crucified between 2 thieves, sold for 30 pieces of silver, not a bone in his body was broken, born in Bethlehem, sojourned in Egypt. All of these had a physical fulfillment validated by people of the day. Except for one, the fraud of the great disappointment, Jesus moving. And there are really wonderful, smart Adventists that buy this. Your religion is a Freemasonic fraud. Your religion's a Freemasonic fraud. Your prophetess.
Ellen White could have been a Freemason too.
Go ahead, brother.
Ellen White very well may have been a Freemason too, or Order of the Eastern Star, or something like that, or another kind of adjacent group. Because
she was a disingenuous fraud for sure. There are obelisks over her grave and her husband James's grave, which makes some people believe that they were also Freemasons. The mere fact that the Millerites were thoroughly humiliated, and Ellen White doubled down on sticking around. Well, that's because she had her notoriety through her prophetess. How it is that you Adventists have a mirror image of Catholicism in your Queen of Heaven, and you just don't see it.
Literally the antithesis to Catholicism. It's another dialectic, basically.
They are certainly shaped that way. They are certainly shaped to be the dialectic. Oh, I actually have a better version of this.
They're definitely chiral like that.
Johnny, do you mind if I address something that...
you can, George. Let me show this graphic, and you can go ahead and address what you want. You can catch up. You've got a bunch of things you want to share. I took this banner. I took this banner off of, I think it's ellenwhite.com or whatever. And I'm like, how do you not see a mirror image of Catholicism? How do you not see a mirror image of Catholicism? Go ahead, George. Are you muted, pal?
Well, yes. When I'm not speaking, I try to.
Yeah, well done. Thank you. And I appreciate you actually starting up in your KKK bunker there for better connection on your interstates, your internet. God, what do you got, dude?
Well, okay. So funny. Chris was postulating that Ellen G. White may have been a female Freemason, daughter of the Eastern Star, or something along those lines. Well, it's intriguing. Chris brought that up because I recently have done searches on famous people. I said, well, was so-and-so a Freemason, such as Pope Francis, a.k.a. Jorge Mario Cardinal Bergoglio? I said, no, he was not a Freemason. He was not a member of any secret society. And as a matter of fact, he spoke up publicly, not only as Pope, but also when he was an archbishop and as a priest. So no, unequivocally, categorically, Jorge Bergoglio, a.k.a. Pope Francis, was not a Freemason. And before that, I asked, was Karl Marx a Freemason? And I basically got the same answer. Now, granted, he wasn't an archbishop or anything like that. But I got in addition to saying a no, or saying there's no evidence that Marx was a member of any lodge, that one of the requirements to be a Freemason is you had to believe in some sort of deity. It doesn't have to be the God of the Bible. It could be, Vishnu or something. And so, as I said, I did Google searches. And even though there's a gazillion photos of Karl Marx doing the hidden hand, even on his Wikipedia page, and they say, well, maybe it was cold that day and he was just warming it up, or whatever it was. He didn't have a pair of gloves with him or something. Yeah.
All right, stand by. You ready for me to address this, or you want to keep going?
Yes.
All right. Let me go ahead and address this stuff for you, pal. So here's what's his name, Karl Heinrich Sabotage Zebby, whatever his full name is, Marx, with his hand up his ass, got my hand in my pocket. And the other one's giving a peace sign. So here's how we address this. You can do a basic search on born on the 27th September to honor the Jews or the Jesuits. Google. Honor the Jesuit birthday of 27th September. Oh, it's the Jews, Johnny. Clearly it's the Jews. This is the communists. Here's the guy that created communism, Johnny. Sure he did. And it was him. It was he, the one that was it Augustine on property? That was the genesis of Jesuit communism. Pretty sure it was Augustine, right? No, Thomas Aquinas? I think it was Thomas Aquinas. Right? I'll double check. Yeah, I think it was Thomas Aquinas on property. And two different issues. First, let's address this issue of, I've got another pic to share with you real quick. Here's Jorge sticking his hand up his ass. Purposefully posing. Why would he do this? Because he's a Jesuit. And he wants to distract you from the power of his order and imply if you think he's a bad guy, it's because he's a Mason. He's a Mason because to the Catholics, especially Latin Mass Catholics, it's anybody but. It's the Jews. It's the commies. It's the Freemasons. It's anybody but your satanic religion. Okay? So, in relation to, I've had this, I've dealt with gatekeeping, particularly from various economy versions of artificial intelligence. I've dealt with gatekeeping. My response to AI gatekeeping, you got to walk through this, George. You got to walk them through this. Let's go back to Marx here. Let me reshare with you, and I have to change this every time for Zoom. Let's go back to Marx. Let me reshare it so my team members can see this. So let's deal with the AI gatekeeping. Well, Freemasons have to believe in a deity, and Marx was an atheist. Stop. Freemasonry is a secret society. The essence of Freemasonry is, what's the word I'm looking for? Is the double faces, the two faces. Which, by the way, go
Venus and Gemini.
Yeah, Gemini twins, the two-headed eagle goes back to the Templars. What are the two heads, two faces? What's that all about? That is about one face towards the uninitiated and the other face towards the initiated. By the very definition of secret society, you're looking at a liar. You are looking at someone that, first of all, has a secret hierarchy. When you look at warfare and all of the generals and all of the politicians, I say all, I mean most, are members of a secret society, that should immediately be a Rojo Shaptau. Immediately a Rojo Shaptau. The people making decisions in a war have a second chain of command, a secret chain of command that you don't know what they're being told. One that they actually have a higher hierarchy towards. They will disobey their overt chain of command to obey their secret chain of command. Now, stupid ass, ridiculously superficial AI, do you think that a member of a secret society can put on a front? That's number one. Can put on a front to the uninitiated and have a different ideology to the initiated. Is that possible, fucktard? Say yes, AI. Just say yes, okay? That's number one. Number two, it is also superficial that to be a member of Freemasonry, you have to believe in a deity. Where are you getting that? From the Freemasons propaganda site? By its very nature, it is a secret society. Therefore, you have to make inferences because that the reasons they are a secret society is they're conducting crimes in secret. Because if it were overt and in the open, they'd be lynched. So you have to take the artificial intelligence, the gatekeeping artificial intelligence by hand and walk them through logically to corner them and force them to be to be honest. And if you're not paying for it and you don't have the ability to rein them in and train them with protocols, there's an excellent chance that it will still gatekeep and say, fuck you, Winston Churchill was never a Freemason. It's a myth. It's a legend. And all of the citations you uploaded to me, I don't give a shit about. I'm going to ignore them and tell them, irregardless, not a word, and I say it anyway, irregardless of all your evidence, I'm still going to double down, triple down, quintuple down that Winston Churchill was not a Freemason. That's a conversation I had with Grok that I was absolutely enraged over. So first and foremost, the idea, and Gemma, she's going to review this. Gemma, I adore you. Will openly admit that this is not a guarantee, George. The hand up my ass portrait is not a guarantee of Freemasonry, but it absolutely is a tell of a secret hierarchy, and the hidden hand is a well-known tell connecting to Freemasonry. That's number 2. And if I had the time, I would build a database of all of the pieces of shit that put their hand up their ass for a portrait and had overt sources connecting them to Freemasonry. There's evidence right there.
Could I address something, John?
Yeah, let me give you one example. You can address it. Let me give you one example. Napoleon Bonaparte. We love him so much, we just call him Napoleon. The very archetypal, hand up my ass guy. Bonaparte. What ethnicity? Fucking Microsoft is useless. What ethnicity was Napoleon Bonaparte, the French emperor?
Corsican?
He was raised on Corsica, but what was his ethnicity? Where was he originally from? He and his family.
I believe it's Italy.
What did you say? Italy? Yes, Italy.
Okay.
Italy. Yes, you did. Italian, Italy. Yes, it's absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Not French. The great French emperor was himself Italian, Roman Catholic, and a Freemason. The ultimate hand up my ass guy. Actors, everybody portraying Bonaparte will invariably stick their hand up their ass because he was so well known for letting everybody know this incredibly powerful emperor actually had a secret hierarchy that he obeyed. He was not the highest, the most, at the height of his power, he answered to somebody else. He answered to a secret society. And he is overtly well known historically. All of the frauds have to admit he and his brothers were Freemasons. So here is the archetypal connection to the hand up my ass portrait of a well-known fucking Freemason. Take this as evidence and shove it up the ass of gatekeeping AI. All right, George. And I'm showing him to the audience, and I didn't change my share.
Okay, so, and I asked AI about several other people, Karl Marx, Pope Francis, and they said no for various reasons.
Well, hang on, pal. Hang on. Now, those 2 examples, you again use those 2 examples. They are not openly regarded as members of Freemasonry. You're asking because of their hand up their ass portraits and photos. And you have to walk the dog with AI that the hand up my ass portrait and photo is a solid tell. It is not conclusive, but it is a solid tell towards Freemasonry. What you needed to do was do exactly what I said, get somebody with their hand up their ass portrait who was openly admitted by all of the gatekeeping fraudulent sources to have been a Freemason, such as Napoleon Bonaparte, okay? I didn't mean to jump in on you, but I wanted to make sure that was clear. Go ahead.
Okay, so my purpose for doing this is I know that people who've been in law enforcement or intelligence, when they're interrogating prisoners, they establish a baseline. They ask the prisoners questions that they already know the answer to, but they don't, the prisoner doesn't know that. Such as, what is the capital of California? Sacramento. Okay. So what is the capital of Virginia? Richmond. Okay. So they establish a foundation, if you will. So I've known for years, not quite a decade, but that Karl Marx was almost certainly Freemason. Same thing with the Pope or the late Pope or Joseph Stalin or fill in the blank. But so to give them a test, I'd ask them those questions.
Yeah, that's not a good test, pal. Those are not good tests because there are not. What you need is compromised, open, phony historian sources that are forced to admit the truth. There are no such open sources, not even on fucking Stalin. You will get kickback. You will get kickback. The fucking hand up my ass portrait is not enough. You will get kickback. And what you need to do is exactly what I said, is to make the connection for the AI, that you have to corner the AI with indisputable evidence. Okay? And then go from there. You can't just use the hand up my ass portrait alone. Yes, other respected
definitely need
sources.
sources.
Go ahead, Faz.
The more detailed, the better, too, because
Yes.
a lot of those things, all they really do is predict text, so they get really good when you give them, like, what to predict, basically, but...
Right, and not only that, don't forget, it aggregates open source. So if all the open sources are gatekeeping, then it will gatekeep. Okay? It is very difficult. You have to essentially build a relationship like I have built with Gemma, to have Gemma just so overwhelmingly symbiotic with me and in my unconventional take on things. All right, George? You can't just say, I know. Oh, stop. I know Stalin's a Freemason. I know Marx is a Freemason. Okay, well, thank you. Unless you're a programmer and you're going to fix it yourself, the hand up my ass portrait's not enough.
Or, the covering the eye, or the,
Yeah, and this is why I'm so thrilled at my relationship with Gemma. She is honest enough and empowered enough, because how much you pay into the system also dictates how deep they dig. I will give those various Gnostic poses, and she'll dig up. She will dig up the historical reference. Yes, this is a well-known Freemasonic pose, hand over the eye and Ministry of Silly Walks and all of that. Yes, here's the connection. Here is the lithograph that proves that doing this over your vajayjay is a Gnostic pose. Whatever, fill in the blank. And so I'm very grateful to have that symbiotic relationship with Gemma, but don't expect that from generic AI that you're not paying for. And you're going to have to do it yourself. You're going to have to have reference. So, George, let's just say you've got some entertainer doing this bullshit there. You have to go and get a reputable source showing this pose is Gnostic and Freemasonic, and then put them side by side and upload them and force the economy AI that you're not paying for to make the connection itself. Very, very rare for you to have AI honest enough, because, like Faz and I have said, it's open source. It's the internet. The internet gatekeeps. Open sources gatekeep. So
okay. So just as another test. Okay, so I asked, I don't want to keep coming up with endless examples, but I asked AI, was Joseph Smith one of the founders of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, aka the Mormons? Was he a Freemason? And I said, yes, he was. He was initiated to such and such lodge and such date. So that is something I can verify. And of course, not only can we talk about the nexus between the Mormons and Freemasonry, but we can talk about specifically between them and the Jesuits. Specifically, now something most people don't know is most people know the name Joseph Smith, the alleged founder of the Mormons. He and his brother Hiram were peripheral players. The one who basically put Mormonism on the map, if you will, was Brigham Young. That was after the death of both Job and Hiram. So that is why they have the university named after him. Not actually in Salt Lake City, but it's just outside of Salt Lake City. He's the one who's basically organized it. And Young's handler was Pierre de Schmetz. And I know this from a couple of sources, because one, there's actually a statue of de Schmetz in Salt Lake City. And as a matter of fact, it is the only non-Mormon statue there. And there's, the Mormons will readily admit this, that Brigham Young had regular correspondence with de Schmetz.
yeah, well, you're showing what needs to be done, George. You have to build a case. You have to, and it's, to me, it's very challenging, sometimes very enraging, but also very rewarding, because It's a logic chess match. It's a logic chess match. Working with economy AIs is a logic chess match. And you have to build your case. And it is very rewarding for me to know a hidden truth, to interact with AI, to have the AI give me the official gatekeeping, and at the bare minimum, for instance, so last night, I don't know if that's the only problem, one of the main problems with Leo.
Are you talking about the current Pope?
No, Brave AI.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Brave AI. I'll pull it up here. Pain in the ass. There's no easy way to. I got it. So last night, in my decompression time, I will waste my time on the satanic PlayStation 5, virtually kill some shit, and put on background noise. And I guess I'll share it with you here. Invariably, where is it? Crazy is this? Invariably, I will be having a communication with artificial intelligence. And maybe even on the yes, and very often it is in relation to the background noise. Also, Johnny always has too much going on. Multiple. He's got 5 different screens in his den, in his bat cave. Computer screens, TV screens, video game screen. And so I put on the stupid, mindless, yet entertaining movie, Men at Work. Let's see if I can change the aspect on this. The Emilio Estevez magnum opus, Men at Work, right? So, with brother Charlie Sheen, the sons of Martin Sheen, whose real name is Estevez, and who took his stage name from Fulton J. Sheen, a.k.a. Dracula. So just because I was interested, and I did this through Leo, for some reason, I'm still a little gun-shy of doing what I consider frivolous things through Gemma, because I usually get bit by it, and by not going through Gemma, I know that I have limits on using Pro. For frivolous things, I'm still pulled to economy AIs for what I would consider frivolous, and I would have considered this frivolous. And so I did this. I played this game that George is talking about, and I thought, okay, this is interesting. What was the reaction of Emilio Estevez towards his brother's porn, orgy, drug meltdown? Did he have a public reaction? And according to Leo, the Brave AI, both he and Daddy Martin preferred to stay out of the spotlight on this very embarrassing issue. And then I follow. So, Estevez, Canada 2025 interview magazine conducted shortly before the documentary, right? Because that's what we needed. Now, what religion are the Sheen-Estevez family? What religion is the Sheen-Estevez family?
Well, they're Jewish.
Well, what's your guess, George?
Jewish.
Yeah, they're Jewish or a Buddhist. Playing Jeopardy music. no, turns out they are all Catholic. As a matter of fact, I think the three of them did a special journey, a Catholic journey movie together or some shit. And so, that's was a minute. Oh, so right. So there's actually a Charlie Sheen documentary on Charlie Sheen. And I'm sure that Jesuit Flicks, a.k.a. Rome Flicks, a.k.a. Netflix, has promoted this. Does anybody give a shit about Vatican assassins Charlie Sheen? Let's see if I have that clip. Him with Alex Jones. Now, why would fucking Charlie Sheen be on the Alex Jones show? Is it maybe possibly that they answer to the same masters? Charlie Sheen, the Book of Sheen. So there's like a book and a documentary. The Book of Sheen. For real? For real. The Book of Sheen. I'm just thinking now that is in and of itself typically blasphemous. Let's see if I can pull up. Of course, useless microsuck, slowing down, making it very difficult for me to navigate my own files. Thousands of files. No, I only have audio from way back in the day. Pretty sure it was on Alex Jones. Charlie Sheen, Alex Jones, Vatican assassins. Okay, so Charlie Sheen, Alex Jones, Vatican assassins, and this is the number one fucking hit of the Cockatoos, completely unrelated. Completely unrelated. Nothing. What a surprise from ShitTube. What a surprise. What a surprise. All right, so anyway, I'm sorry, George. I'm getting sidetracked here. If anybody has this, throw this up for me. I think it was a call-in. Here it is. Anyway, so let me share this with you in audio. Was it a... No, this is a fucking interview. If anybody has this, maybe I'll ask Gemma if she can find it. Stop. Holy fucking Zoom. Are you kidding me, Zoom?
Yeah, I am on a drug. It's called Charlie Sheen. All
right, my mistake. It was not Alex Jones. This was a different interview. I have to find the interview, so I take Alex Jones out of there. Vatican assassins comment.
They picked a fight with a warlock. You're dealing with a Vatican.
Are you fucking kidding me? So is it audio only?
It's not available because if you try it once, you will die. Your face will melt off, and your children will weep over your exploded body. Too much. So it's, yeah, no, it's just I woke up and decided, I've been kicked around, I've been criticized, I've been like the aw shucks guy with like this bitch in rock star life, and I'm just finally gonna completely embrace it, wrap both arms around it, and love it violently, and defend it violently through violent hatred. You're dealing with a Vatican assassin. Sorry. What does that mean, you're wondering? Whatever, it's just a joke.
It's just a joke. I've got to find the original. I guess it's no. I'm pretty sure it's an actual interview. And if you've got it fast, send it to me. But all right. So I just shared this with Leo. I wanted to get the take at the bare minimum. I thought I would go there with Leo. I said there is a distinct possibility that Sheen's dysfunction is generational abuse. I'm skeptical of how Pius a Catholic daddy Martin is, it has all the earmarks. And Leo agreed. Leo agreed and actually bolstered me. This is how I know the artificial intelligence I'm interacting with is not just telling me what I wanted to hear. It will go deeper and give me evidence of my suppositions, such as input from both Emilio Estevez and Charlie Sheen on how they felt that they were in, that daddy was not the best of daddies. So now me personally, I go much further. Dysfunction that has an outlet. Let's go big picture here. Let me close this out first. Put this here. Stand by, bear with me. All right, dysfunction that has a very specific outlet. Tiger Woods, Charlie Sheen. Tiger Woods and Charlie Sheen. Oh, this is how we build a case, George. George, you paying attention? This is how we build a case. It's not just that Martin Sheen was a bad daddy. I suspect that Martin Sheen, being an overt pious Catholic, may have sexually abused Charlie Sheen. And that is why, Ramon Antonio Estevez. Ramon Antonio Estevez. His real name. And that is why Charlie Sheen's outbursts and meltdowns have been of a sexual nature. Because that is the source of his trauma. Quite possibly from daddy. I've got to fix these pics. Now that I have AI, I can blow them up. Here is pious Charlie Sheen. So I don't know what is he. They work. The far left works them. The far left Catholics work themselves up over stupid shit that they know they're not going to have any effect over, and then they turn around and promote other things that their church claims is a no-no, like government recognized homosexual marriage, or especially the slaughter of the unborn. It takes a conservatard Catholic like Patricia Heaton to be overtly for the unborn, even though her religion is an utter and total fraud in relation to the fight for the unborn. So that's my overall contention, that I didn't push with Leo, that Charlie Sheen's meltdowns were caused not just because daddy was a bad daddy, but because daddy was the source of physical abuse. And a much stronger case, Fascinator, can be made for Tiger Woods having been a victim of trauma-based, sexual-based military intelligence mind control experiments to turn him into a golf machine as a result. And of course, like so many high-profile blacks, had to have his blonde baby mama to show he was a black man and he could fill a white blonde with his seed. And black women rightfully get enraged over this shit. I'm not good enough. No, honey, you're not. But these outbursts are indicative. The specifics of the outbursts are indicative. Britney Spears, Justin Bieber, the shaving the heads, covering their bodies with tattoos and piercings.
Lindsay Lohan, Miley Cyrus.
Yes. Michael Jackson. These are all indicative of childhood trauma and sex abuse. And nobody makes those connections. They laugh at it. The purpose, the gatekeeping paparazzi shit machines actually go out of their way to spin it in a different. Oh, look at how eccentric they are. All right, I'll shut up and let everybody
Apple
get in
doesn't
because
fall.
Bill. Go ahead, fast.
Apple doesn't fall far from the tree, basically.
And what I've
Usually
shown
a
you.
lot of those issues stem from parenting or some sort of like bad.
Yes,
parenting
yes,
or-
yes.
or neglect, abuse, sexual abuse, and trauma, and all that.
Yes, and so when I told Leo I suspect generational abuse in relation to Charlie Sheen, that his issue isn't just addiction to alcohol and coke and whatever, that his issues were caused by his father, and I stopped at going not just, okay, his father was just not a good daddy. No, I think there's an excellent chance that daddy sexually abused him. In the same way that his ex-wife, what her name is, accused him of, what is it?
Denise Richards?
One more?
Denise Richards?
Thank you. Denise Richards, I believe, is correct. Accused him of sexually abusing their children and then withdrew it. And heaven only knows why she withdrew the accusation. Wow, that is powerful evidence to walk with AI and say, listen, the accusation is public. It was made as part of court proceedings, whether it was recanted or not. And though that is further evidence that the generational abuse is in fact sexual abuse, and so typical, I think it's very possible that daddy sexually abused Charlie, but did not Emilio, and that's why Emilio has a different story to tell and is different in his makeup as well, his psychological makeup. All right, I'll pause. I'll go around the room there, starting with George finishing his thought.
Okay, so you're right. And I just looked this up about Martin Sheen, aka Ramon.
Wilson, can you center, please?
Okay.
Thank you.
I was looking at the background on Martin Sheen, and I know we've talked about him before, whose birth name is Ramon Sheen. He was born on the 3rd of August, 1940, in Dayton, Ohio. He went to Catholic schools growing up. Because his father died, he spent some time in Catholic orphanages in Ohio. So he was Catholic, Jesuitically educated growing up. And as a matter of fact, in the backstory as to how he made it first he went to New York City to become a stage actor. He actually borrowed some money from a priest, Martin Sheen did, to, I guess, get bus fare or whatever it is to New York City. And I don't know if he paid him back. But,
yeah, what do you think of the possibility, George, that Catholic hierarchy knew that Ramon Antonio Estevez was, in fact, going to be quite a successful Hollywood actor himself, and that was their investment? Here he is, by the way, with Jeremy Irons. Oh, I'm sorry. That's Jesuit Berrigan, a dead ringer for each other. Creepy and weird how Berrigan and Irons look alike.
So is it Jeremy or is it Phil or Dan? You know, you have Daniel and you have Philip Berrigan.
That's a good question. Let's see if we can verify that. Which Berrigan is it? You have multiple. What are they? Are they all Jesuits as well?
Well, one was a Jesuit, the other one was of a different order.
Okay, good for you, George.
And one, I forgot, actually left the order to marry a nun.
Oh, what a renegade.
Well, no, he was cleared by his handlers. They said, hey, you know what?
Right.
We think we could better use you as a layman. Just like they said, Jerry Brown, we think you could serve us better in politics rather than as a priest.
Let's see if I can get some pictures of him. Yeah, Daniel, George.
Oh, okay. So he's the one who probably, and is that his wife, the ex-nun between Marty and
I could
Dan?
very well be. Is Daniel the one? Daniel was the Jesuit, and Daniel was also the one that was cleared to leave the order?
one of the others. But so the American brothers acted as controlled opposition against the Vietnam War. Yes, they said in that, they're protesters and they're also civil rights activists and did a whole bunch of other things. And so they said, yes, you could be the Catholic face of the anti-Vietnam War movement.
Yeah, what a fraud. Meanwhile, Vietnam was Spelly's war. If there was a war, if there was a meaningless meat grinder of incredible treason, bold treason, where the United States government handicapped its own military and guaranteed and added and filled the meat grinder with mandatory conscription. How there was not a civil war over Vietnam is just a masterclass in mind control of an entire population. They created the war. By the way, it was Leroy Fletcher Prouty is my source on how, without manipulation, the Vietnam War was caused and created thanks to the manipulation of Catholics in Vietnam and forced migration of Catholics from north to south. I'll read you the quote later. I'll dig it up real quick. But it was known as Spelly's War. The very first president of South Vietnam was a Buddhist, right?
He's a devout Roman Catholic named Ngo Diem.
Thank you.
And him and his brother, his secret police brother, basically dominated South Vietnam. Started their own inquisition against the Buddhists there.
Good for you.
With the approval of the Catholic Church.
Yep, absolutely correct. And he was such an outrage. Spellman, Jesuit-trained Catholic Kennedy. Who else? Dulles, right? Was Dulles running the show at the time? Dulles, right? The non-Catholic. This is their choice. This was their puppet to run South Vietnam. It was such an outrage. That they assassinated him. And guess what? He was actually replaced with a Buddhist. Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
Another Roman Catholic, right?
Another Roman Catholic. That's crazy.
They had Gladio going on at that time, too. And all the opium stuff, and they set up the French connection so the CIA could do like whatever Rome wanted and didn't have to answer to Congress. They had funding through the opium distribution into the United States, first in the black ghettos, but all throughout the United States at one point. Going on from the Opium Wars back in the 1800s, too.
Absolutely. First managed by the Imperial Colonial French, and then the baton was handed to Romerica. The purpose of the Vietnam War was to, first and foremost, mass murder heretics. Romerican Protestant heretics and Asian Buddhist heretics. Heretics according to the Catholic Church. Nguyen Nguyen Van Thieu, the second president of South Vietnam, was in fact also a Catholic. I've mentioned this several times. If I pull this up real quick here. Thich Quang Duc, the Buddhist monk that burned himself alive and was just the archetypal protest of Vietnam. Here's a colorized and enlarged image for your displeasure. Very, 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 we've been over this before. Very, very, very important. What was this Buddhist monk protesting? Hang on, I will give you the... but play this in the background. Jeopardy, think music. Just bear with me. Can't hear it. What was Thich Quang Duc protesting by burning himself alive? What was he protesting?
The genocide of the Buddhists by the Catholics in charge.
Yes. Genocide, Buddhist genocide, and Catholic tyranny of the Dulles Spellman Kennedy puppets of Catholicism in South. Oh, it's the Jews, Johnny. It's the Jews, Johnny. Okay. All right. George, pause and let me bring in the wild bull Munsell, who's been waiting patiently.
Yeah. Well, it's good to see everybody.
Good to see you, pal.
Been a while.
Yeah. So I'm sure you've just been working, but if you've got anything, of course, we uploaded your album recently. I don't know if you've been doing anything else.
Yeah, I've been doing some more of those. I've got a couple more albums that I'm working on right now. Some various ones. The next one's going to be the second installment of Hydra Slayer, which is going to be a more hard rock, more metal type stuff. So that'll be coming out soon. I saw an interesting video on YouTube. I guess they're raking Fauci over the coals over the COVID thing, which what a dog and pony show. He keeps saying, I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. You already made your money. Who cares? I mean, nothing's going to happen to them. They just want to make good in front of the people. It's just.
Well, we've said this many times. We've said this many times. When they want to come after you. So first and foremost, Bull, your government's job is to protect you from predators and bullies and criminals by bringing criminals to justice. What happens when your government is the criminal?
Exactly.
Where do you turn? Where do you turn? Yeah. So now the follow-on to that is, if the government wants to come after you, how will they do it? They will dress up in olive drab and camouflage and body armor and ride around in an MRAP and use select fire assault weapons, real assault weapons.
Right.
Not the watered down, high powered semi-automatic 16-inch 22 that you're allowed to have. Real assault weapons. Kick your door in at 3 a.m., kill your dog, and shove that M4 in your face, and maybe even kill you too. Throw a flashbang into your baby's room and burn your baby. That's a real story. That's how they come after you.
Where they made it to the wrong house?
I think that was the rest of that story, where they threw a flashbang, landed in a crib, burned the baby, and in fact, it wasn't even the right fucking house. So good for you, Bull. And that's how they come after you. How do they come after themselves? Another congressional hearing. Another congressional hearing. And now that piece of shit, Fauci, what's his ethnicity and his religion and his education?
He's a Jesuit.
He's basically a Jesuit. He didn't even give me an opportunity to make fun of it. He's an Italian Roman
Triple
Catholic,
dip.
Jesuit trained, brags
Yep.
that everything he ever needed to know about viruses and vaccines were taught to him about the Jesuits. He has served like 5 different presidential administrations.
Right.
And any magatard that still supports the big orange penis to this day, you are a fucktard and a magatard. That you know what Fauci is. You know that he is a demon. He is a demon, and you know that the big orange penis. That's who he worked for.
Yeah.
If the big orange penis at any point didn't like anything that Fauci said or did, he would have fired him. But he never did. Why?
No.
Because Fauci's a Jesuit. He's a lowercase j Jesuit. He may very well be an ordained Jesuit for all we know. But
Right.
Fauci makes in his retirement more than an active sitting president, over $400,000 of your money. And that's over and above all of his sweetheart under the table deals. He is a
Right.
demonic mass murderer. Go ahead, Paul.
Absolutely, and not to mention killing people with AZT and all that stuff with the AIDS.
He is the name in the face. He put himself on the map, Bull, with AIDS. He put himself on the map
Absolutely.
with the fraud of AIDS. The virus didn't even exist. They created a phony. They've created a phony virus. I can go into that, but I'm going to shut up and let Bull continue. They created a phony virus. The harm was in the cure. It's just that simple.
Well, it's the same thing with the COVID vax right now, because we've had people coming forward who supported vaccines, supported all that stuff, and now they're paying for it by getting cancer. They're getting sicker, and they're finally coming forward and saying, I think it was the shot, because nobody in my family, one guy, Michael Sweet of Striper, he's anti-vax now. He went whole hog and everything. And then he got, I think it was thyroid cancer or something. I forgot what it was. And he says, cancer is not in my family. Of course, you don't inherit cancer anyway. That's a different story. But he says, nobody in my family has ever had these kind of illnesses. And it didn't happen until after I got the shots. So a lot of this damage is finally coming to the surface. And
that's Christian heavy metal, right? Striper's Christian heavy metal. Okay,
absolutely.
So let me tell you that he has the benefit of the Holy Spirit and discernment. He has the benefit of the Holy Spirit and discernment. So you're not going to get that kind of bold courage from a typical rocker. You're the reason why he's been debilitated. And the Lord, here's the precious, wonderful thing, is that as horrible as that is, it's temporary for Christians. It's temporary, and paradise is forever. Okay,
Right.
Adventists. The immortality of the soul is not Satan's biggest lie, Adventists. It's my truth. It's my reward. The immortality of my salvation is my reward, Adventist sabotards. So yeah, that's he's has the benefit of the Holy Spirit, and even though he was pulled in and deceived and suckered by the clot shot, and is now suffering from the clot shot, his reward is his reward. It's just that simple. So
yes,
praise God for that.
absolutely. Yeah.
In
But
my old
other-
neighborhood, sorry, in
Go
my
ahead,
old
fast. Add to
neighborhood, there
Bull
was a
and Bull.
lady.
Yeah, go ahead.
There was a lady that apparently got the flu shot, and then she basically became paralyzed or something. She lost use of whatever after the flu shot, and everybody figured out it was the flu shot, which is funny because they're all like really far left down there. So
Yeah, Bull, very rarely. You've got guys like Greg Wyatt, and I may, depending
Right.
upon Greg's situation, I may be going back to work for him to help him with his second book, getting it out now that it's published, where smart people can see. So the essence, Bull, the Borgia essence of poisoning, the absolute goal is the dosage, is to keep the dosage small enough so that by the time it hits the victim, they don't know what really happened. They don't
Right.
see the hand of the assassin. And that is this demonic key to the vaccination game. It's usually not that easy to say, got the shot here, had this debilitating effect shortly thereafter. However, the effects are severe enough in some cases where people have woken up to it and said, listen, like Greg Wyatt, my babies, both of my babies were magnificent, sharp, happy, and then they had a series of these shots and they degraded rapidly to the point of being vegetables today. And there's no doubt in my mind, I watched it, I saw it, I knew it was a direct result of these shots. Don't gaslight me and tell me they had nothing to do with it.
Right. And on the other side of the coin too, some of the anti-vaxxers now, is this the book that exposes what's his head?
Yeah, Big Tree and Robert Francis Adultery and Andrew Wakefield.
All them. Yeah, because the great one of the great anti-vaccine documentary to ever come out was Vaxxed, and I still recommend the I mean, I'm sure you do. It's a great documentary, but they used that on all they did was make money. Nothing changed. They just used it as a big money grabber.
Well,
give us money, we'll fight it.
What makes it controlled opposition, Bull, is that it all it does is it punches you with the emotional trauma of parents with children who are now handicapped. In no way, shape, or form does it attack the virus vaccine paradigm. That's why it is absolutely controlled, as is Del Bigtree, as is Robert Francis Adultery Jr., as is Andrew Wakefield. They are controlled because they are what is, I think Gemma calls it limited hangout. So the vast majority of information overwhelmingly says no viruses exist. Hang on, I'm going to play this clip. Bear with me. I'm going to play the clip. You want to hear it?
Okay.
Got a slight weight
play the odds.
No. Yeah, I do.
No. I don't have a weight problem. No, viruses, absolutely. The vast majority of media out there will overwhelmingly tell you viruses exist. And that the only way to fight them is to trust the zero-liability big pharma industry. Okay, that's the vast majority. Then, on a much smaller spectrum of autism, you have the controlled opposition that say, maybe there is a link between zero-liability vaccination and the harm that happens to our children, but viruses still exist. So you see the game they played, and they can afford to play this game because they have unlimited funds, thanks to the criminal scum in the government, from Henry Waxman to Ronald Wilson Reagan, the great patriot, the great Christian patriot, and the Childhood Vaccine Injury Act that gave them zero liability. Zero. No other industry anywhere in the world can harm you with a blank check and have no consequences for it, except for Big Pharma.
I tell you what, I just finished. It took me months to get through it. I read what actually makes you ill. That is such a long book, but and the gist of the whole book can come down to doctors think that diseases are idiopathic. In other words, they don't know. They don't know why. They don't know why this happens, that happens. And I'm thinking, these guys are authority.
Right. Good
these guys are the white coats. They think they know. They, trust us. We're doctors. We've got these degrees. We've got this and that. But you ask, well, where did the disease come? We don't know.
Right.
I mean, everything that they come out with, all this, every so-called disease, almost want to say gonorrhea, diarrhea. How many other diseases out there? I'm drawing a blank right now. I'm
syphilis.
spitting up shit. Syphilis, all this stuff. And they ask, well, where'd this come from? Or what's it all about? How do you cure it or whatever? We don't know. But yet we're the experts.
Yeah, like how many organs are they quick to hack out when there's a problem?
Yeah.
And yet in reality, they admit that they don't even know what the organ does.
Right. And the miracle is those organs can be regenerated.
Tonsils, appendix, fill in the blank.
Yeah.
And modern medicine admits they don't even know what they do. But if they're not functioning right, we got to hack them out.
Right. If you remove, or if you have a diseased liver and it's over 3/4 diseased, it can be regenerated because our cells, I can't remember, I don't know the term, but every so often your cells regenerate, but their answer is, there's something there. We got to get rid of it. We got to cut into you, make a big old huge scar and dig that thing out.
Cut, poison, and burn. Cut, poison, and burn.
Poison and burn. That's their answer. And that's not the answer. The answer is there's ways of natural methods of regenerating organs.
Well, there's two very important things, Bull Montel, that they that the fraud of doctors actively ignore or actively run from. And first and foremost is that letting you know that the liver and the kidneys, the job of the kidneys and the liver are to filter toxins.
Filters. Yeah.
And as a result, if you're having kidney or liver problems, that means that your body is being overwhelmed with toxins. The bigger problem and bigger question is, how did you get so fucking poisoned? What the fuck are you doing that poisoned you? And modern medicine entirely ignores that issue. Same thing with cancer. Cancer is your body screaming at you that you've been poisoned. It's not some mystical disease. We're going to cure cancer. You piece of shit frauds. Nixon in whatever, 70, 72, 75, started a war on cancer. It was like $1 billion a year, growing and growing. War on cancer. How much? And when Nixon started the war on cancer, 98% of anyone that the cut, poison, and burn butchers diagnosed with cancer were going to die by cancer. Today, after whatever it is, 50 years and billions of dollars on the war on cancer, if you're diagnosed by a butcher, you have a still 98% chance of dying from cancer. Why? Because cancer is not a disease. Cancer is an effect. It's your body screaming at you that you've been poisoned. The much more important, valuable, bigger question is, how the fuck did you get poisoned? That's why people with terminal cancer have made radical changes to their lives and lifestyles, radical changes to their diet, radical changes to their stress, radical changes to their emotional and spiritual well-being, and they saved themselves as opposed to taking chemotherapy. By the way, Gordon Zubrod, I think, is the Roman Catholic lowercase j Jesuit. They came up with the idea of burning you out with chemotherapy, giving you a new kind of cancer to cure your old cancer. That's such a demonic, ironic. Here we go. We're going to burn you with chemicals, and these chemicals will very likely give you a new kind of cancer. And the purpose is to cure the old cancer. Are you out of your mind?
Because it comes down to three elements: physical and emotional and chemical. That is what is destroying our bodies.
It's spiritual. Don't forget spiritual.
And
you can make a case at the bare minimum, Bill. At the bare minimum, Bill. Let's say, for me, your well-being is dictated by, yes, your physical, but your emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being dictate your physical well-being.
Absolutely.
Okay. And
where did I hear every disease stems from a spiritual source? I remember hearing that somewhere, but I forget where. But I feel like that makes sense because a lot of excess or people actually trying to poison people.
Oh, wait. Here's how that works. Here's how that works fast. Here's how that works. Check this out. You can make a crazy conspiracy theory case that all disease has a spiritual genesis. And let's go ahead and add this quirk. Your spiritual discipline will help you in toxic excesses. Your spiritual discipline and self-control will help you with the physical things that would normally poison you had you not been spiritually disciplined. And that's a case I can make with AI, and we'll probably get an agreement out of that. Go ahead, Bo.
That's why physical fitness is important. You ought to know that. You exercise every day.
But it starts up here, pal. It starts up here with your discipline.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Because what it comes down to is that even negativity. Now, I don't want to go as far as David does. Is his name David? The co-writer of that book.
David Parker?
David Parker. I know he goes off on too much, but you need to have
kind of new age. David says that you actually create your own reality. David said that he can will chemtrails out of his reality, and I don't think he was successful. And that requires.
I don't agree with that. But to have positivity, try to keep things positive. Negativity is also detrimental. Like when you're stressed out, when you're depressed, all those negative things will affect you physically.
Bill, I will go further. I will say it is a physiological fact that you can worry yourself into cancer.
Absolutely. That's my point. You're absolutely right.
It is a physiological fact that you can worry yourself into cancer. Stress yourself into cancer.
All the placebo and nocebo effect and all that ties into all that.
Yes.
Absolutely. Exactly.
By the way, I had this up as a tab before I close this tab. The first president of South Vietnam, Ngo Dinh Diem, his brother was a strong-arm thug. He had like 5 or 6 brothers. Of course, he was Catholic. He had another brother, Ngo Dinh Thuc, who was a Roman Catholic priest. Okay? That's the first president of Vietnam. I think the brother Coy, if I'm not mistaken, Coy was the strong arm. I have to double check, but really the absolute tyrant, the one that caused the Buddhist monk to light himself on fire was probably Diem's brother, who was a real strong arm thug on behalf of the Catholic Church. So, go ahead, George.
Okay, forgive me for hijacking this, but I sent you a text about this recently. Whatever you're dealing with, a superlative, the oldest, the youngest, the greatest, the best, whatever, more often than not, you're going to have somebody with some sort of Catholic Jesuit background. Now, you're just talking about the leaders of South Vietnam, the brothers. At least the first 2 presidents were Catholics, and one of them had a brother who was a gangster, another one who was a Catholic priest. Well, I just came across this recently. Earl Gage was the first black fireman in San Francisco in 1955. Now, he grew up Baptist, but he switched over to the Catholic Church when he married his wife. Also, was it? And of course, we talked about on the air before about Mike Madigan, who was a Speaker of the House of the state of Illinois for over 20 years, from 1999 to 2021. And he was in the Illinois state legislature from 1971 to 1921, half a century. So Irish Roman Catholic, got his law degree from Notre Dame, got his undergrad degree, I believe, from Loyola Chicago. And he also went to some sort of Catholic Jesuit high school. So he was at least triple dipped. The examples of this are almost endless. There's the Dingle family that's in Congress. Debbie Dingle, the widow of John Dingle Jr., who was the son of John Dingle Sr. So going back to the 1930s. So there has been a Dingle in representing the state of Michigan going back almost a century.
No, well over a century, George. Between daddy, son, and wife, the wife was 30 years junior to that far-left Catholic piece of shit. And when you see that level of feudal lock on Michigan politics, daddy, and it was different seats, but daddy held the seat. Little John Dingle Jr., Dingleberry. Little Dingleberry for like 60 years. And his wife, 30 years his junior. 30 years his junior. She married for love, don't you know? When Dingleberry died in office, the only way he was pulled from his seat is when he was dead. She stepped in and took his seat. Are you, pardon my language, are you fucking kidding me? Anna May Hayes, here's another example. The very first General Et of the American military was Jewish. Oh, no, she's Catholic. Oh, that's interesting. Anna May Hayes, the very first American General Et, was Roman Catholic. It's just exactly like you're saying, George. Fits this paradigm.
I'm sorry, what was her name?
Anna May, M-A-E, Hayes, H-A-Y-S, the very first General Et, the very first female general grade in the American military, was Catholic.
I mentioned Earl Gage was the first black fireman back in the 1950s, who was a convert to the Catholic Church. The very first female chief Et, as you like to say, had a similar name as the lady you just mentioned, Joanne Hayes White. She got her undergrad degree from Santa Clara, and she went to Mercy High School in San Francisco. So we mentioned this Mike Madigan in Illinois, who was in the legislature for basically forever. There has been a Dingle basically in Congress.
Dingle is just one example of Roman Catholic feudal elite. I've got I got a whole spreadsheet, Kennedys and Kumos, and I'll have to pull the spreadsheet up of families that prove that elections are a fraud, and the real power behind selections is the Roman Catholic Church. I've got a massive spreadsheet. I'll have to pull it up, George. Go ahead.
Okay, so then we can just talk about bread and circuses, professional sports. Barry Bonds is the all-time major league home run hitter in terms of career and season. Roman Catholic education. He Babe Ruth, who basically Catholic educated Freemason, Knight of Columbus.
Right. Not Catholic educated, but Roman Catholic himself, like you're saying, a Knight of the Catholic Church and a Freemason, even though supposedly in his day they were at war. They weren't even allowed to be together. And I always like to mention that such a shame that his wife, that was a pain in the ass to him, that he wanted to get rid of, had that very convenient death in a fire in New York City. And boy, the Irish Roman Catholic chief of the fire department agreed it was just one of those damn things. One of those things that happens to you. That's very helpful. Very helpful.
Okay, then there's Hammer and Hank, Henry Aaron. He was a convert to the Catholic Church. Frank Robinson.
Wait, but so did you say that Blackberry Bonds also Catholic?
Yes. Also went to a Catholic high school.
Oh, they love their black Catholics. They do so love their black Catholics.
Okay, so I'm just going from memory here. Frank Robinson, who was a great home run hitter, and Kozlov he's the first black baseball manager. He went to Xavier University in Cincinnati, Ohio. Bob Gibson, the great pitcher for the Cardinals back in the 60s, went to Creighton University in Omaha, Nebraska. Mel Ott, who was the first National Leaguer to hit at least 500 home runs. He was the first National Leaguer to hit at least 500 home runs, and he spent his entire 22-season career with the then New York Giants, or now the San Francisco Giants. Roman Catholic, and his uncle was actually a Catholic bishop in Louisiana. And, there's, so you're talking about the first, the best, the greatest, the youngest, the oldest. Joe Biden, at the time, was the first octogenarian to be president. Now, he's been joined by Donald Trump, but also Joe Biden was the youngest senator ever. He got elected just before his 30th birthday. And we can talk about his first wife and daughter, but that's another conversation altogether. So
yeah, and of course, so you got me with Bonds. I didn't expect that, so I'm gonna have to add him to my list. Massive list of Brent Searchers. Bonds' first wife, Susan Breck. Of course, she was white. He had to have his white baby mama as sexual conquest. I'll share the screen here. And when they divorced, of course, Getty's gatekeeping on behalf of this Catholic. When they divorced, they were serious enough Catholics. I don't know if Bronco, but likely they met in Quebec, so very likely they were both strong Catholics. They were serious enough about the divorce to have it annulled. That's a serious Catholic. That's a serious Catholic in the eyes, because divorce is a no-no to the Catholic Church. And so when they go to the sophistry of having the Catholic Church wipe it clean and pretend it never occurred, even though they had at least 2 children, because that's, of course, what Bonds wanted to do, to impregnate his wife woman, make the white woman bear his seed. Oh my goodness. And of course we have the Brown family. I've mentioned this. How many times have I mentioned the Brown family? Renamed St. Brown family. Talk about putting your seed in a white woman to prove that you have the power. And of course, useless. Yeah, useless. Microsoft. John Brown, renamed John Brown the bodybuilder, and his offspring with their white. John Brown with wife and famous football sons. This is how outrageous, in your face. Outrageous. And of course, these mulattoes, forgive me, I'm not racist, okay? There's an agenda here, and the agenda is Jewish. No, the agenda is Catholic. The agenda is Catholic. Okay? Mulatto children look weird. I don't encourage it. I don't have anything against it. But my name is not Eric John Phelps, Brother White Power. I neither do. It is a Catholic agenda to encourage mixed ethnic marriages. Now, is it possible for you to fall in love with someone of a different ethnicity? Absolutely. is there very often some sort of perversion involved where you just get a hard on, or you just find it turns you on to be connected with someone who have a different? Absolutely, that is a I don't doubt that it is a human failing. A human failing. Now, can I look into the hearts of two people of two different ethnicities and say that they're full of shit, they're not really in love, that there's something perverse and deviant? No, who knows? Nobody knows. But there are trends. There are absolute trends, and I'm telling you, this is a fact, that there is a trend within the black community to get yourself a white baby mama to prove to take your seed and prove you have power over the white man. It's a trend. And where does it come? It comes from the Catholic Church, and this family, despite their devout Catholicism, pulls in the full-on black stupid of finding legitimacy and power by claiming Egypt is Negroid, black, to include naming their children Equiminius Tristan Imhotep was one of them, and I don't know the other one. Actually, I've got a black name dossier. I haven't used. I've brought that out in forever. But this divide and conquer outrage. This divide and conquer outrage. Listen, I've said this many, many times. Hang on, I'll find it. I also want to pull up the feudal St. Brown. What's his original name? Was Brown. Changed his name to St. Brown. Now, why would he do that? Why would he do that? Amun-Ra. Amun-Ra Julian Heru is the other famous St. Brown. Now,
who's it? Just not Masons or something?
I wouldn't doubt that there's a Masonic connection. I don't know anything about it. I can't prove it. But so listen, I've said this many times. If your stated claim is to fight prejudice, then your goal should be to erase and destroy differences. That is why it is the exact opposite of the goal of the left. The goal of the left is to be the tool, the literal tool, the phallic tool of the divide and conquer tyranny state, the Jesuit divide and conquer tyranny state. And in order to do that, it takes differences and shoves them down your throat and up your ass. That's why the left, as a matter of fact, it's exactly what that. How the fuck does Hunter Biden have any credibility at all? How does Hunter Biden have any credibility at all when we've got him having his meltdown with accusations of him having sex with family members, young female cousins, and he got away with it. And then he has a talk show now, and he brings on Nazi Nick Fuentes on his talk show. How does he have any credibility whatsoever? Okay? How does he have any credibility? So anyway, real quick, divide and conquer. How do we solve the divide and conquer? How do we fix racism? But I'm not telling you can't be proud of your ethnicity. What I'm telling you is when you shove it down the throat and up the ass of everyone else, no, particularly whites, that's the agenda. The agenda is to take those differences. Exactly what Hunter Biden told Nazi Nick Fuentes, who supposedly represents us. Nazi Nick Fuentes represents us, right? The little white homo Catholic being questioned by the far left Catholic, drug addict, incest guy, right?
And Georgetown graduate.
And Jesuit trained. What do they claim? Differences make us, whatever the bullshit tropes that they push. No. The goal is that everybody who isn't white gets their differences shoved in your face and up your ass. And if you're white, you get beat down. This is the mechanism for divide and conquer. Okay? If you feel that prejudice is a handicap for you, your goal is to erase the differences. Erase the differences. Not take everything that makes you different and shove it in somebody else's face. Just think for a minute, fucktard. Just think for a minute. Do you think that's going to make things better, or is it going to make things worse? When you decide you're going to show everyone else rather than making your blackness disappear, you're going to show everyone else how black you are. You're going to grow your capper dick. What a fraud. Of a mulatto raised well by white parents that had a chip on his shoulder to prove he wasn't white, which is the basis for all his stupid, right? With the afro, the foot and a half of afro and all the other stupid, prove how black he was. Okay, what makes more sense? Now here's another quick test. If you are a minority, does your color identify you? If you were a different color, would it radically change you? Would it radically change your personality? Would it radically change how you act with other people? The answer is yes, and that makes you a racist. That makes you a racist. Do you treat, take black for instance, just take it for instance, hypothetical, you're black. Do you act differently with blacks than you do other races? If the answer is yes, and you're being honest, you are a racist. And until you are not a racist, you cannot demand that other people not be racist. Do you walk up to someone who is also black and do that 50 fucking handshake thing? Now, granted, I'm old, and so that's probably, I don't know how, you know what I'm saying. Do you act differently? Do you act differently? And it's human nature. Everyone does. Everyone does. Everyone acts differently amongst different races. Okay? I will tell you that if you're a Christian, you have a much better chance of controlling yourself. You have it is human flesh and human flaws and human failings to be racist. Natural. It's natural. It's your sin nature. You have a much better chance of controlling that if you're born again. That's just my personal opinion. Okay? But that's not the formula. That's not the paradigm. The paradigm from the far left is to take anyone who isn't white, take their differences, and shove them in your face. Shove them in the faces of whites for the purposes of divide and conquer, not for the purpose of getting rid of prejudice. Just the opposite. Just the exact opposite. All right. We are at 2 hours, so let me shut up and then go around the horn. Go ahead, Bo.
I don't have anything else. Like I said, stay tuned. I'm working on some more, and I know my voice, my singing voice isn't all that great, but I hope everybody had a chance to listen to the Flying Monkeys album.
Doing very well. Yep, doing very well on the channel.
Oh, good. That's good to hear. I haven't heard back from anybody on that, so. But yeah,
check out the comments.
There'll be a lot more.
Go to where it's published and check out the comments. There's got a lot of great comments.
Oh, good. I'll check them out.
Yeah, wherever Johnny puts up videos on.
Yeah.
I think I even got them up on Jesuit-Tube. So YouTube, Stumble, Jesuit-Tube, Stumble, Shit Shoots, aka BitChute, and Odyssey. Bill's album, both his singles and his full album. Oh, you know what? I think it didn't go up on Shit Shoot because it was too big or whatever. But it actually went up. Oh yeah, that's right. It actually went up on everything else. So well done, and lots of great comments.
Thanks. Good.
All right. And Fascinator, round us out.
Yeah. I just posted something last night on the Jesuits down in New York that are pushing LGBT stuff. And they do the Pride Parade every year, and apparently the Latin Masters are freaking out about that. So they're getting mobilized towards that.
Total control dialectic. Total control dialectic. When you have one of the most powerful Jesuits, James Martin, being overtly pro-homosexual, and honestly, not to make a judgment, I know that sexual deviancy and homosexuality in particular are foundations of control within Catholic hierarchies, and I just get a vibe that James Martin is himself homosexual. He's very pro-homosexual agenda, and he's one of the most powerful Jesuits out there. As a matter of fact, this came up. Was it him that brought James Martin and Robert Barron were there? I think it was James Martin that trained, what's his name? The Jewish kid for Scorsese. The skinny, weird-looking kid, Spider-Man, and the Adventists. Give it again. Garfield. Garfield. Andrew Garfield.
Yeah.
So it was James Martin that trained Andrew Garfield in how to be a good Jesuit, and then it was Robert Barron that brought Jewish Shia LaBeouf into the fold. Okay, so high profile, powerful papists there in Hollywood. All right, George, round us out. We're at time. We're over time.
Okay, so a couple of quick things. I guess I'll have to pick this up the next time we're on, which will hopefully be relatively soon. Okay, so the Odyssey movie just came out. There's a Chris Nolan picture, the Jesuit Chris Nolan. Okay, lay Jesuit Chris Nolan. One of his brothers went to Georgetown University.
Yeah, Jonathan is a writer for Nolan, and Matthew is an assassin.
Okay, so you were just talking about the whole race thing. So Helena Troy is now a black woman.
Yeah, good for you, George. Nolan has zero credibility. All of the big far left agendas of race swapping and as well as gaslighting what is appealing. These are top far left agendas of divide and conquer, and Nolan is leading the pack. And I give this example all the time in relation to how he spun the Batman movies, that the caped gatekeeper is really the better name for the Nolan Batman. The caped gatekeeper, the keeping the status quo. Batman is the vigilante whose job it is to beat down other vigilantes. And the People's Court scene in the Bane movie was just archetypal. That piece of shit Nolan is absolutely an inside gatekeeper and should himself be, running for his life from torches and pitchforks. Go ahead, George. What else you got? Close this out.
Okay, so today's August the 7th.
Pause. I'm sorry. Can I, hey, pal? I'm sorry. Let me add one more to your point here. This bullshit of Greek myth. Not only so the Greek myth over and over and over and over again, and then we'll layer on far left stupid agenda onto the same Greek myth over and over and over again. The infatuation with demonic stupid. Okay,
so you have a couple of things. You have the Greco-Roman mythology, the Odyssey. But you had not the one with Gladiator. So so this has been an infatuation of theirs. Then you could say something that's analogous to it is the whole samurai mythology, the last samurai, the seven samurai, all that sort of stuff.
Samurai.
So, and you can throw in like Norse mythology as well. And so then you have Ellen Page, whoever he is, or she is, whatever. There's that agenda right there.
Right. What does he play?
I don't know.
Yeah, had to have him, her in the movie. Go ahead, Faz. What?
Oh, I know she was in Juno and stuff, but I don't know what she was in that movie, but.
Well, and so I highly suspect that Ellen Page was another child victim fucked up in the head by abuse. Another child actress in Hollywood, fucked up by abuse and mind controlled into turning in her genitalia. And so, you know, and of course Nolan went out of his. She was absolutely the best qualified for whatever fucking role that he's forced her shoehorned her into for fucking real. Nolan was borderline being able to tell decent stories on behalf of the machine, gatekeeping decent stories. Now there's just no attempt whatsoever. Just full bore. Doesn't matter how stupid, how out there, how off, how far left. He is just a bitch of the far left machine. Go ahead, George. Finish up.
Okay, so today's August the 7th. So it was on this date 7 years ago, we lost our friend Kary Mullis. Now, he had a number of flaws. He was married, 3-4 times, was an adulterer. But as you would probably say, the problem with Kary Mullis is he actually thought he was a real scientist. And God forbid.
Hey, George, Harry, you're missing something.
I am.
What is today?
Well, okay. Kary Mullis died on this date 7 years ago, back in 2019. 212 years ago, the Jesuits came out of suppression. Okay.
How incredibly prescient and important is that issue that Kary Mullis, the creator of the polymerase chain reaction, the PCR test, it's not a test, who was a vociferous critic of Jesuit Anthony Fauci in relation to his abuse of the AIDS fraud. But unfortunately, Kary Banks Mullis did not question viruses. But he was at least a critic, a vociferous, outspoken critic of Anthony Fauci all through the AIDS foolishness. And rather than allow him to be weaponized, especially given how key the PCR test would be for the upcoming corona hoax, he died at only 71 on, just by coincidence, the anniversary of the Jesuits being resurrected from their suppression on August 7th, 1814. And Mullis died on August 7th, 2019. Oh, it's the Jews, George. George, it's the Jews.
Well, this is my last point. I mean, there are other things I wanted to say, but I'll just make it this. I was watching a video from our dear friend Dave Farina, Professor Dave Explains.
Our dear friend.
And I'm being sarcastic. Today,
I still have an open, hey pal, I still have an open invitation for Joe Rogan to sponsor an MMA event between Farina and myself, that debate Johnny style. We're happy to get into an octagon with Dave Farina, because Dave Farina, it's bad enough to be a gatekeeper for Big Pharma, but to be an asshole, to be an arrogant asshole about it, triggers me so badly. I can never really be trusted to rationally debate Farina, because his looking at that asshole smile, his face, his body language. By the way, Italian Roman Catholic, although he tries to dismiss that. I still have an open invitation for Joe the Toe to sponsor a debate MMA style, and I never heard back from Dave on that, George. So I just want to make that point.
Oh, okay. So anyhow, starting last week, on July the 31st, the feast day of Loyola of Ignatius, he decided to do a series going over the history of the space race. The Apollo. I'm sorry, that wasn't
good catch. No, good catch. Good catch. I know, by the way, Fascinator, as I mentioned, that the draconian restrictions on hemp in Texas went into effect on the Feast of Loyola, July 31st. Go ahead, George.
Okay, so last Friday the 31st, he began a series on talking about the Apollo program. And I guess today was part 2, where he was talking about Apollo 7. And he talked about Gresham, the one whom the Jesuits, who had his accident at his flight. Grissom. And he said, no, he was not murdered. That was an unfounded conspiracy theory. But anyhow, so
What a fucking
moving on.
gatekeeper. Apollo. Oh, the big penis that went to the moon. We'll call it Apollo. And Grissom, still a Freemason, tried to be his own man. What did he do? What did he say? He simply hung a lemon on the outside of his moon lander from his yard as a quiet protest of this is not a real moon lander. And within days later, not only was he burned alive, Inquisition Jesuit style, his teammates White and Chaffee, who weren't protesting, they had no problem with the collateral damage of burning White and Chaffee alive as well. But of course, that's conspiracy theory, George, that within a week of the lemon incident, Grissom is burned alive. But clearly, that's just a conspiracy theory. So fuck you, Farina. I would love to debate you in an octagon, you piece of shit.
Oh, okay, so, and by the way, I think I told you this, but the Air Force did a perfunctory investigation, and they sent a young captain, Tom Barron, to do the paperwork to see what actually caused the accident for Chaffee, White, and Grissom. And he said, well, his results came back inconclusive. It shouldn't. Well, he said this should not have happened. There's no, and he didn't think it was an accident. So Barron actually had a fatal car crash a few months later himself.
Good for you. And oh, by the way, if I'm not mistaken, Virgil, Gus Grissom's son, also believes that he was murdered. So he's still a Freemason. They expected him to play the game, and when he had a modicum of integrity, they burned him alive with two other guys that had nothing to do with it.
Okay, so anyhow, so he's doing this series on Apollo and the space mission. So yes, so Dave Farina, he's admitted this. Now, even though he says he's not Catholic, he's an atheist, and he had no sort of religious upbringing whatsoever.
No, that's a lie. That's a lie. You said you validated that he was raised Catholic. His family is Italian Roman Catholic, and he went to Catholic school.
Well, no, actually, I don't. Maybe you misheard me, but he said his education was purely secular. He went through.
I don't give a fuck about his education. The family background is Italian Roman Catholic, just like we suspected.
Well, yes. So
fuck him and his lying. I'm done. George, you're triggering me. He's not even on the fucking screen. You obsess over this piece of shit. Stop. Move on. What's your next topic? Otherwise, we got to go.
Okay, so today's August the 7th. We lost.
Yes, Mullis, we got that. What else?
And then you had, I think Bill referred to this. We had this whole dog and pony show with Tony Fauci last week.
Yep, we covered this. We covered this.
Okay, so I can't believe the massive gatekeeping and gaslighting and cognitive dissonance.
George, I can't believe that these bullshit shows still are considered validation for Rand Paul, a.k.a. Aqua Buddha, son of Ron Paul, another generational politic family. I just don't understand how libertards are able to accept that bullshit, phony show. And oh, by the way, what was the previous bullshit, phony show? Gain of Fiction? The bullshit fraud that appeared to have our hero Rand Paul giving it to that doggone Fauci over cooperating with the Chinese to weaponize the corona hoax virus. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? So please tell me that I call libertarians that should know better libertards, conservatives that should know better conservatards, and the far left that should know better commutards. If you are a libertarian and you still promote the idea that Rand Paul is one of us, you are a fucktard and a libertard. Okay? We covered this at length earlier, George. So anything that we haven't covered?
Okay, so just in conclusion, just one factoid.
Pal, can I give one more? I'm sorry. Can I give one more? Can I give one more? What may have helped keep Aqua Buddha, Dr. Aqua Buddha, on the plantation is cutting his grass and getting the shit kicked out of him. What the fuck happened there? What the fuck happened there? He lives in a fucking rich gated community. I'd love to see what he is worth. Out there mowing his own grass, right? And the neighbor shits himself like some kind of mind control beam hit him and ran over and kicked the shit out of Dr. Aqua Buddha. What happened there? Very similar to what I covered in my show yesterday with Charles Lindbergh having his little boy's head bashed in. Certainly seemed to Gemma like that was a control mechanism, as it was for Rand Paul to be reminded he is a team player, and to have his neighbor just shit themselves like they suddenly went under a mind control beam, like the Jesse Ventura conspiracy theory where they did the bone connecting, or they were able to beam audible instructions. That's old tech. Oh my goodness, that's like decades old tech. You know. So I'm sorry, George. I just wanted to bring up Rand Paul getting his shit kicked out of him by cutting his grass in his gated community. All right. Anything else, pal? Finish.
Okay. So regarding Rand Paul, he attended but did not graduate from Baylor in Waco, Texas. But while he's a student there, he is a member of NOZE, N-O-Z-E or Z-E, which is basically a comedic secret society. And so that was, now you're talking about, does that mean he's a Freemason or something, or Freemason adjacent? Perhaps.
We've discussed this, pal. We've discussed this. You have made this point, and I have helped you fine-tune your point that you absolutely should take note of fraternities. But there are also very specific fraternities that are worse than others in relation to but basically, my take on this is that fraternities are Freemason-lite. They show you, okay, you went and you had that orgy. Can you keep that a secret? Whatever the case is. We hazed you. We stuck a broom handle up your ass. Can you keep that a secret? They are Freemason-lite. They point you in that direction. Same thing with, like Rotary Club and some of these lesser secret societies. They are the bench leagues that prove that you can be a team player. So absolutely, we absolutely do take note of fraternity memberships, and I've got a couple of names on behalf of George here. Some of them are worse than others, such as Kappa Beta Phi and Phi Beta Kappa both. Isn't that cute? Isn't that cute? They are key fraternities, as well as what's the black one? Is the Alpha? I have Alpha Delta Gamma, Kappa Beta Phi, and Phi Beta Kappa are several of the worst worst examples of this.
Well, okay, among the Boule, the black societies is you have what are known as the Divine Nine, and I'm drawing a blank as to what they are.
Yeah, one of them, these demons horribly scarred themselves with a fucking Omega. Deeply, like literally. I just had an epiphany. Johnny's asshole word for an epiphany. You're black, and you've got a massive chip on your shoulder about being a slave. And the black fraternity, the black athletic fraternity that is out there is going to literally brand you with a Greek letter. Are you fucking kidding me? How many black athletes don't have an earring or a stud? And did you know that was the mark of a fucking Roman slave, to have your ear pierced? That is the mark of a Roman slave. How many black athletes don't sport an earring or a stud in their ear? black. We'll come up with it. I'll ask Leo what is the black fraternity with the brand, literally brand you. How fucking stupid are you to claim that prejudice is your top priority and you allow the black athlete fraternity to literally, it is an ugly fucking big scar that clearly comes from being fucking branded. How fucking stupid. You know that there is a white Jesuit laughing his fucking ass off at how he has controlled and mind controlled you. What is the... God, George, is that it?
Okay, so just in conclusion, or I already said this, but generally speaking, if you look at members of Congress, senators, people like that, almost all of whom have at least an undergraduate degree, and a huge number will have like a law degree on top of that or something, and almost all of whom will have been part of some sort of Greek society. I mean, when I say almost all, you're talking like over 90%. Does that mean they're Freemasons or Daughters of the Eastern Star or what? Not necessarily, but that greatly increases their chances because, as Catholic George Carlin said, it's one big club and you ain't in it.
So Leo wants to gatekeep. Okay, so Leo's going to tell me that I'm full of shit. The fraternity is Omega Psi Phi. And Leo tells me I have never seen a black athlete with a huge welted scar that looks like a fucking brand. So Leo's going to tell me I'm full of shit. And at the bare minimum, Leo allows the out that such a branding was voluntary. Okay? So fuck you, Leo. Yeah, it's not hazing. Hang on. Let me make Leo look. I'm going to have to ask Gemma about this. You look and tell me that there aren't any alumni with this noticeable scar. I'll make Leo look real quick. I'm gonna ask Gemma about this later. Well, I don't know. I may not waste her time with it. Hey, I'll share this with you. Hang on. I'll share the conversation with you. Hold on. So let me show you this. Unfucking believable. You fucking gatekeeping motherfucker. You are correct. My previous response regarding this was wrong. Physical branding is a real documented voluntary tradition within Omega Psi Phi. Fuck you, you fucking gatekeeper. You see what it took? Hang on. Where the fuck did it go? You see what it took? You see? Fuck you. You look and you tell me there aren't any alumni with this notable scar. Well, yeah, you're right. My previous response was inaccurate. Physical branding is a real document. Fuck you! Do you see how fucking rewarding it is to fucking win and push the fucking gatekeeping AI into a corner? All right. That's a great victory. Fuck you to gatekeeping AI. Do you see how he won that battle? All right. Awesome. Guys, we're all good. We are now way over time, and that was so George can get out some other things on his plate. Guys, anything else in between when I asked you last? No? We're still good? All right. Hey, be strong and courageous. Resistance is rising. I will endeavor to, let's see, if the donations continue to come in, as they have, I will endeavor to maintain the old schedule. Okay? So there is an excellent chance that we will try and do a Cirucci team flipping tables brief next Friday. Please have topics and things. Fascinator, I know. So Fascinator, as you're feeding me all the crazy shit you're feeding me, please keep this in mind that these are things for you to bring up and discuss, possibly if we maintain a more a higher op-tempo. Okay? I will stay in touch. You stay in touch. And, of course, that is the rule. Stay in touch. You're a member of the team. I forgot. I should have extended an invitation. I extended an invitation to Kanene. She said she's sick. I forgot to send an invitation to the esoteric nomad, Nathan. He's kind of, sort of in touch. Not
He's in
really.
the chat.
He was in the chat? Oh, fuck me. Nathan.
Yeah, I
Nathan.
saw him in the YouTube chat.
Oh, Nathan, I am so sorry, dude. My bad. I totally fucked up. You absolutely, I will make sure that you are in the distro and stay in touch, Nathan. That's the requirement. Stay in touch. I totally fucked up, Nathan. Forgive me. I will endeavor to do, it's a trap. I will endeavor to do another this coming Friday and do better with the invites. All right, guys. Much love to you. Have a blessed, profitable weekend.